Hi guys, it's Dr. Sal from DrSecrets.com. Thank you so much for joining in. Today we're going to take a look at why do doctors write so badly. In this episode, we're going to investigate why. A common layperson joke is if you see somebody with really scratchy, awful, hieroglyphic type writing, is to joke that that person should have been a doctor based on their handwriting. Well, if it was only that easy to become a doctor. Now, in this section, I'm going to take a look at some examples of bad doctor handwriting, and we're going to take a look at what incentivizes physicians to write badly in the first place. So let's look down at the anatomy board, and the first thing I'm going to do is dispel the first stereotype that all doctors write badly. That is simply not true, like any other stereotype in life. This is a real-life ER example here that was sent to me. And if we go through this together, I think you can pretty well read or piece together the story as I am. It says yesterday, then there's a dash, episodes of dizziness. Obviously this is not the Queen's English. We're just trying to convey meaning as quickly as possible with the minimum number of words. So yesterday dash, episodes of dizziness, usually lasting, and this thing here is meant approximately 30 minutes. That's pretty fair. Anybody should be able to read this. Mild nausea, vertigo-like. No, this is H/A, which in our parlance means headache. No neuro, which means no neurological deficit, so the person wasn't weak on one side of their face, etc. And this other abbreviation here, C/P, is no chest pain. Now, anybody working in the medical field pretty much gets used to these little abbreviations. So I would call this a minor infraction. It's not, or venial. And actually, I give you a little joke. When I was a medical student, feeling all happy, looking through people's charts for the first time, trying to read up on different disease conditions, we were doing rounds on one patient in particular. And I was looking through their chart as we were discussing the case. And I kept seeing these references to SOB. And then I saw another reference to SOB. So finally I looked across at my colleague, who was a year ahead, and I said, well, how can we keep calling this patient a son of a bitch? And then he looked at me incredulously and explained to me that SOB actually stood for shortness of breath. Duh. So if you're in the business long enough, these little abbreviations become second nature. So on the next line here it says past medical history is what that stands for. MI, which means that person's had a myocardial infarction. This OE means on examination. Normal mental status, slight nystagmus, don't worry about what that means, and gait normal. So this basically dispels the idea that all doctors write badly. This was very legible, and I was very pleased that my colleague was able to send me a decent referral like this. Now compare that to my next esteemed colleague here. This chicken scratched handwriting, I can barely make out anything. Now this is from the same emergency room, two different physicians and two different cases. The only thing that I can make out from this is the final diagnosis, which is cellulitis, legs. The rest of it, you could as well be writing in Greek or Hebrew or whatever. I can't make anything out of it. It's like Sanskrit. And the technical term for this is cacography. And if you were to look up that term in what do you call it, a reference guide or encyclopedia, you probably would see a picture of a doctor like this guy here. So why is cacography so common in the medical profession? Well, it's really simple. We write a lot of information in a day, and most of it is never looked at ever again. Most of it just gets filed away in a bunch of dusty folders, never to be seen again. So if you realize that you've got this huge crushing volume of patients to see each day, and that what you write isn't that important except for a legal case later on if something goes wrong, you start to take shortcuts. As you can see here, a lot of this is like micrographia. A lot of the letters are so puny that you can't even make out what they are. And I've seen some cases of doctors with such horrible handwriting that if you challenge them and take a sample of their handwriting back to them and ask them, okay, could you please read this to me? They struggle themselves to read their own handwriting. So basically this is something that's incentivized. Obviously, if somebody went through medical school writing like this, they would probably be getting 0 on their papers because their professors wouldn't even be able to read what they wrote. So this is an acquired habit. I don't believe that most of these cases are by design, basically. They're under pressure, so they write fast, and eventually their writing gets really sloppy. There might be a few cacography savants that were always that way, but I think most are acquired cases. And to give you an impression of why we would want to write fast and sloppy, just for my signature alone, I've calculated that on average, and this is underestimate, I sign my name alone at least 5,000 times every single year, and I've been doing that for the last decade. And it's probably much larger than that estimate. And that's just one word, my name. I haven't included things like how many times I write the antibiotic amoxil, or how many times I write a blood pressure hydrochlorothiazide, etc. So after a while, basically as a form of survival and fatigue, that's why doctors begin to get sloppy in their writing. But again, as I've tried to point out before, not all doctors write in cacography. Some doctors have very legible handwriting. And this bad handwriting is actually not as innocent as it may seem, because every year some people will get hurt or harmed by prescriptions where a pharmacist simply couldn't make out what the physician was writing. If you take, for example, these two drugs, Celexa and Celebrex, they're spelled almost identically, and their dosages are almost the same too. Celexa will come as 20 milligrams, Celebrex will come as 200 milligrams, but they're not interchangeable by any stretch of the imagination. Celexa is an antidepressant. Celebrex is an anti-inflammatory, almost like an aspirin derivative. So if a pharmacist gets those mixed up, you can imagine the kind of kerfuffle that can cause. And that's just an innocuous example. There's other drugs where if you get them mixed up, it can be very dangerous. So that, because people have to guess when doctors write badly like this, is really not a good practice. However, in future news, I can tell you that today, actually, all of my charts are done on a computer. So, and I think I have pretty decent handwriting, but that's just my opinion. I have had people challenge me before where they couldn't read something I wrote, so maybe I'm biased. But today, all of my charts are done by computer, which are typed out. Some other doctors in my practice will actually use audio, use dictation systems. And again, legibility is perfect. The only problem with those systems is that they often garble words, so they'll place the wrong word as a substitute. So unless the physician is paying attention and goes back and corrects it, sometimes the meaning can be off. But usually, if you're trained, you can read between the lines and figure out where the computer's made an error and what was actually meant. And the other thing too is all of the prescriptions that I produce, or no, not all of them, maybe 95% of the prescriptions I produce are also done via computer. So when they print out, again, legibility is perfect for the pharmacist, which makes life easy and reduces error rates, which might hurt people. So there is hope in future for bad handwriting, and as computer technology increases in power and sophistication, eventually even handwritten notes may be automatically converted into, into binary, but into the alphabet that we're used to, or typography, where everything is perfectly legible. So that is a tongue-in-cheek look at Dr. Bad Handwriting. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share, and have a great rest of your day, and keep writing well. Bad handwriting does not make a good doctor necessarily. Thank you.